I combined the best of both worlds, quilting and journal making, all in this Quilter's journal. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and this is my weekly vlog number 76 for Monday, July the 16th, 2018. And I hope everybody had a great weekend. And some of you we spoke to yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live. And if you've not yet joined us for Stephen and Walter Live, if you're new to my channel, we do a live broadcast for about an hour, hour and a half every Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So feel free to tune into it. And just a couple of things to the people who saw yesterday's show. I know that some of you didn't get a notification when it was going up, and I'm sorry about that, but that's got nothing to do with me. That has everything to do with YouTube and your YouTube setup. I know it's very frustrating, and it's been very erratic, and it happens to me as well, that although I've got the bell icon highlighted, I've toggled it so I'll get all notifications for some of the other channels that I subscribe to. I don't always get the notifications either. It seems to be a hit and miss, and this is something to do with YouTube. It has nothing to do with us as people trying to watch YouTube videos. So I'm sorry about that if you did not get a notification for yesterday's show. Usually what I do is I put up a little short 30-second, 45-second blurb in the morning. Since I always do it on Sundays, I do it usually on Sunday morning just to let you know that we will be doing a broadcast. And I don't know if some of you see that or not. I know a few people do. But this week I did not have one of those because we were away for the weekend and we didn't get back until the afternoon, till a couple of hours before we went live. So anyways, I'm sorry if you're not getting notifications about Stephen and Walter Live, but just keep in mind, we try to make sure that we do it every Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that's your notification, put it that way. Okay, let's get on to today's business. So what have I been up to? Well, the crumb quilt. I've shown that a couple of times on both the vlog and on Stephen and Walter Live. I have an unfinished object now, a UFO, and that would be the crumb quilt. Why is it an unfinished object? Because I've started a new quilt. Now, I'm going to go back. I'm going to get this one finished. I'm doing the quilting part of it right now. I have 2/3 of it quilted. I have to finish up the last third, and I hope to get on to that today as well. But I'm like a squirrel with this quilting thing. You know, you get into one project and suddenly you go, oh, there's some neat fabric and that would be a neat pattern, and you get started on that. So I'm basically working on 2 quilts right now at the same time. The other quilt, I showed it yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live. It's not finished. I still have another border to put on it, and then I have to layer it and do all that kind of stuff to it. So that's in works as well. And if you're interested in seeing what that one looks like, I think it's quite pretty actually. At first when I was making it, I wasn't that sure about the colors, especially the greens, but I think it's working out pretty good. It is very bold in my color choices, and you know, with a quilt I purposely am very much drawn to the very bold, brilliant, very modern looking colors, which is funny because usually I go for more the distressed look or the, you know, the more vintage look. And in a few minutes I'm going to show you my fabric haul, some of the fabrics I picked up on the weekend when we were away, and you're going to see that most of them are leaning towards the darker tones. I'm trying to break away from that. So thus the new quilt is much more brilliant in terms of its color choices. I don't know if you can make a bad color choice on a quilt. I really don't know if you can. People get really uptight, I think, about picking out colors. I know there is a class in color theory that is usually done every, you know, season at the Ultimate Sewing Store where I go in my area, and I'm actually seriously thinking in the fall of taking that class. I don't have a lot of trouble picking out colors or things like that. I go with my gut. But I'm sure there's some things I should know about, you know, what they call light, medium, and dark colors and the placement of them. We did a little thing on making a log cabin square in my last basic quilters class. And just by the picking of your colors, our instructor was showing us how you can change the whole look of a block, even though you might be using the same block pattern throughout your quilt. So maybe I need to take a class in that. We shall see. And speaking of classes, I have one class left in my serger class, but finally we made napkins. Now I know, napkins. You're saying, why are you so excited about napkins? Well, this is with a serger, so you can see my edges are all nicely bound all the way around. And I have made napkins before on my serger before I took a class, but I want to take this class to make sure that I got the right settings on my serger and things like that. And also, these particular napkins, they are double-sided. Actually, it's the same pattern. I made 2 blue, 2 purple, because I really love this fabric. And they are double-sided. Now, the first napkins I made, I never thought of putting 2 pieces of fabric together to make a double-sided napkin. In fact, I was looking for double-sided fabric and discovered that that's actually a rarity. Unless it's a batik, most fabrics have a right side and a wrong side. Of course, when I first made the very first napkins I ever made, I didn't know anything about that kind of thing. Now that I've gotten into quilting and that, I do understand that point. Bit of an idiot quilter episode. You know, to not really think about, well, why not take 2 pieces of fabric and, you know, sew them wrong sides together, kind of a thing, and you've got a double-sided napkin. It also gives them much more strength. They feel much more luxurious. I think these are so pretty. Now I don't want to use them, but I do know they'll wash okay because I pre-washed the fabric for these and it washed beautifully. No problem. So yes, I made napkins. You got to use them, and you know, I'll just make more when I need them. Yep, simple as that. So that's something out of the class that's that I really learned well. What else? Well, that's about it as far as projects I've been working on. You know, I have a list of projects, all kinds of projects. I keep lists. I have a file folder full of ideas and things I want to try in both in quilting and in paper crafting and in scrapbooking and in all the other things that I like to do. Not enough time to get to it all. Every day I'm busy working away. Now I have to admit that, as you know, I've become obsessed with quilting. Love it a lot. And you're going to hear more about that on this vlog. Of course you are. All my regulars out there are probably going, oh no, here we go again. He's going to talk about quilting. Yeah, I am. Sorry. You can fast forward through that part if you want. But anyways, every day, I'm always doing something that is creative and I love it. And sometimes I find it overwhelming because there's just so many things I want to try. I've got some new things, new products coming into my local scrapbooking store that I put on order a while ago, and they're arriving this week. And so that's something new. And off camera here, over on the other side, I have a little cart that's full of products that I have bought for paper crafting and mixed media stuff and scrapbooking that are still in the original packages, and I've had them there literally months. And I've got to unwrap them and use them. So maybe that'll be something this week that I'll get to. Maybe I'll make some videos. I'm thinking of making some collage papers just to try out all the new stencils I have not tried out yet, and I've got quite a few of them. So I'll probably make a video of that too. Whether I get to it this week or not, I'm really not sure. But you want to know something? It's a hobby. It's a never-ending project. It's creative. It keeps my mind active. It keeps my hands active. And I love it. And hey, I'm retired. Why not? this is the whole point of being retired, doing the things you love on your time. Okay, so a little preachy there. Let's go to YouTube channel of the week. So watch this. This week's YouTube channel is one that I very seldom go to. Another one of those ones that I've subscribed to for quite a long time, but I just haven't kept up with it. And not because there's anything wrong with it, it's just that I haven't kept up with it. And it's called Dede Willingham. That's the name of the author of this YouTube channel, and it's also her name. And she's got a lot of videos using a different types of medium. This tends to be more towards the artist rather than the crafter, although I always think that you can learn a lot from how people use some of the same materials and mediums that we use in crafting, but how they use them in artistic applications. Plus you'll learn some different techniques, and it might even inspire some ideas. She does in her playlist have a very extensive playlist on mixed media techniques and products, which is worth checking out. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more on the professional side, because maybe you yourself are more of a professional artist, then you might want to check out Dede Willingham. So although I don't go to that website YouTube channel very often, I think I should revisit it a little bit more often because I find it very helpful, very inspiring. Plus she talks about some techniques and products that I have, some of them, and didn't know how to use them, and others I might want to get and try out. Okay, person of interest, don't have anybody this week. Sorry, wish I did. You people know what I'm talking about. So, you know, if you want to be a person of interest or you want to send me some, you know, a website to look at, a YouTube channel to check out, if you've got a book review, if you want to share some of your artwork with us, send it all along to me. My email address is at the end of the video. Don't be shy. Send me whatever you've got. I promise you, I will only say nice things, okay? I'm not going to criticize anybody. How can I criticize anybody's art? In fact, most people's art's better than my art. So, you know, I'm certainly not going to do that, but I would love to showcase what you're working on, or I'd love to showcase you or your ideas, your life, the place you live in, whatever. Any of that. I think it's interesting, and I think other people would find it interesting too. So, send anything like that along to me. Okay, in the resource list below, I've got the link to the latest Stephen and Walter Live. And just a little bit about Stephen and Walter Live. It was my birthday this weekend, and Walter got me a gift. Now, this was completely unexpected, what he got me. In fact, he wasn't sure whether or not I would use it, but he got it anyways. As he says, I'm a very difficult person to buy for. And yeah, I am. But to be fair, so's he. Reason being is, if there's something we want, we get it. Simple as that. So he bought me something called a gimbal. A gimbal is a stabilizer. You put your, this particular one that I have is meant, or that he got me, is meant for your cell phone. And the idea is, if you're walking, and it's sort of like a selfie stick in some ways, but much more elaborate. When you're walking and you're holding it out in front of you, you know if you're holding your camera, you'll get the bouncy from, you know, the way you're walking, the unevenness of the ground. This compensates for that at all angles. It works on a 3-axle, like XYZ kind of thing, and it keeps the picture steady. It also does a lot of other things as well with your camera and with the app that goes with it. We were playing with it yesterday, and I've got to play with it some more. There's a bit of a learning curve with this, but I'm definitely thinking of maybe doing some on-the-road videos or out and about, you know, with this, because it'll allows me to, as I'm walking and talking, to keep the camera steady and use some of the special features on it. So maybe somewhere down the road it'll be part of one of my vlogs or Stephen and Walter Live. And yeah, I kind of got digressed here about the gimbal, but what I was saying about Stephen and Walter Live is we were a little boring on Sunday. Well, there was things to talk about, but not a lot. And I really, you know, I don't want to bore my audience from all of this. But now that we've got the gimbal and that, we're thinking about doing different locations for doing Stephen and Walter Live. Now, barring, we have to have a Wi-Fi connection in order to do Stephen and Walter Live. So we're not going to be going out on the road doing a live, because there just isn't a connection for that unless we find some place where we can get Wi-Fi. But then we're probably in a public place, and I'm a little shy about producing a video, especially a live video, when there's other people around. But the weather's been so nice here, well, it's been hot, that if next weekend's nice, then next Sunday we may do a Stephen and Walter Live from our patio, kind of a thing. And we'll see how that works out. Also, we are seriously talking about doing a special live edition where we do some art. Sort of an art challenge between Walter and myself. And I know who's going to win. It's going to be him. Because for someone who doesn't do much artwork, he's extremely creative, and he's very, very good at it. I wish he would do more of that kind of thing. But anyways, that's in the works. We'll see what happens, but we're going to try and make Stephen and Walter Live a little bit more alive. Okay, so link for this past Sunday's is down below. The book I'm going to talk about today, linked below. New episode of The Idiot Quilter, episode 17. It's about my Quilter's Journal. And why don't we take a look at that right now? So, we're talking a week or so ago on Stephen and Walter Live about, you know, I just said I wish I could figure out a way to combine the things I love to do, quilting and the paper crafts, you know, into a hybrid or something like that. Mainly so I don't feel so guilty about neglecting my mixed media projects and things like that. And somebody said, well, why don't you do a journal? Because they know that I like to make journals, that kind of thing, and do, you know, a quilted journal. So someone sent me some links to some YouTube, I think it was Elaine, to some YouTube channels where they show this, and I watch those, and it kind of inspired me, and so I created this. This is my Quilter's Journal. And you can see that the outside of it, back and front, this is a couple of blocks that I had been experimenting on, just in the design. So I quilted them. I even embroidered my name, if you see it up here at the top. And actually I did it down here too, the bottom. A little bit of a glare there. It's more subtle because of the colors, but I put that on there. Sewed on this ribbon is the closure. And so basically, it's a cover. It is removable. So, you know, it's just a flap kind of thing. I used my serger, like I did with the napkins, to go all the way around the edges. It was really quick to make. And then I created this sort of traveler's notebook style, you know, inserts. So there are 3 sets of signatures here. This one's called quilts, and in the signatures, these are just folded paper. Actually, it's graph paper that I had my printer, I'm sorry, I'm getting a glare on that. I had my printer print out for me because I had a setting to do that kind of thing. And I took an envelope, just cut off the top, put in a little thumb thing, put this in, folded it all in, and so you see, this is one little signature booklet. And all it is a rubber band. I made a cover, kind of a thing, just to give it more stability. And so I can slide new ones in or take these ones out whenever I want. So I've got quilts, supplies, notes. And this is where I'm going to keep a record of the quilts that I make, and you know, my supply list, things like that, instructions, anything like that. I put a pen in there too, and so this is good to go. All I need is a purse to put it in. May I make one of those too. So that's what's in episode 17 of the Idiot Quilter. And then, of course, I have the link to the YouTube channel you just saw there. Okay, so that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Well, okay. I have talked about this before, but And I'm not going to talk about it in great length. It's not that I'm really pissed off at this. I'm just curious about why this happens. You know, I've mentioned before that men, when they walk into a scrapbooking store, often the people in the store, which are usually women, and the people running the store, which are usually women, give you this wary look, like, do you know where you are? It's like a man walking into the lingerie section of a department store kind of look. Although I think also sometimes men are more welcome in the lingerie section of a department store than they are in a scrapbooking store. First time I ever walk into a new scrapbooking store somewhere, they look at me. They say nothing. I'm looking around, whatnot. They finally come over and they go, and they're very apprehensive. Can I help you? Like, do you know what this stuff is for? Kind of a deal. And I'll say, no, I'm good. Thank you very much. Or sometimes I'll say, yeah, do you have such and such? And when I say that, usually they trig in that maybe I do know something about it, that I haven't wandered in here just by accident. Or the ones that really add insult to injury are the ones that say, so is there something I can help you get for your wife or your girlfriend? Now, sometimes if Walter's standing there, I'll just turn and say, no, he's good. That usually makes them take another second look as well, especially if you're in the States, I find. Not so much here in Canada, but in the States, yeah. But anyways, not going to get into that topic. So then I say, well, you know, then I'll say, well, no, I'm a scrapbooker, I'm a paper crafter, I have a YouTube channel. And usually after I tell them that, they will be fine with it. But it's that initial contact. Now, I'll tell you this. In all the quilting stores that I have been in, and I've been in quite a few, never once have I gotten that hint of an attitude that, wait, this is a woman's world, what are you doing here, kind of thing. Never in a quilt store so far. And I wonder why that is. Maybe because there are lots of men quilters. Maybe because it has something to do with sewing and men are fashion designers. You know, men are tailors, things like that. And so maybe in a quilting store, it's just the extension of it as it's part of the sewing world, that maybe men are more accepted in the sewing world because, you know, it's more visible, I guess, because of the fashion industry and that kind of thing. In a scrapbooking store, it's maybe not so obvious because, you know, people are making cards, making, you know, memory books, things like that, and maybe they figured that that's much more feminine than male. It's not, but maybe. And maybe that's why it takes them by surprise. You know, I even found it when I went to, excuse me, I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about the interruption. That happened to be the people who look after the television system for hospital televisions, because, you know, my mother's in the hospital. And we've had nothing but endless problems with this television. The latest problem being that it's frozen, won't shut off, won't allow you any channels and that. And so that was them telling me that they're getting on with it and they're going to fix it. So anyways, just part of the trials and tribulations of this whole hospital thing. So what was I talking about? That got me right off. I'm just looking at my notes here. Oh yeah, so this whole thing about men and you know, scrapbooking stores. So scrapbooking retreats, I was going to mention this. I've been to several scrapbooking retreats over the years. And the first time I ever went to some of them, it was like walking into, it was like an old Western movie, you know, where the guy comes into the bar, it's all noisy and everything, and comes in through the swinging doors, and suddenly the record is pulled off the player, the piano player stops playing, and everybody stops what they're doing, shut up and stare at the person. That's what a scrapbooking retreat was like the very first time I went to one. It was like, oh my God, there's a man here. Cover up, ladies. I don't know. Now, that doesn't happen anymore. Mind you, I haven't been to a scrapbooking retreat in quite a while. But I used to go to the same ones every year, kind of a thing. And I was known then, so no problem. And I'm not saying that through the whole thing, both in the stores and in scrapbooking retreats, that they continued to be sort of cold and aloof from me. No. Once they knew what I was doing, they were fine. no problem. But I just wondered why there is this difference. I would have almost expected that as a male quilter, when I'm walking in, I'm looking at fabric and things, that I would have got that attitude the same as what I got the first time I walked into a scrapbooking store. But I don't. Haven't happened yet. So it's just weird. It's not that I'm pissed off at that. I get it. But I just think it's weird. So anyways, that was kind of a lame what I'm pissed off at this week, but I'm not really pissed off at too much more. Well, I could be pissed off like with that call that I just got, but you know, I'm at this point right now where it's just whatever, we go on with these things. Okay, moving on. Speaking of moving on, some product reviews and things like that. Well, I have a lot of things to show you. First of all, I want to show you, get them here, two very lovely cards made by my friend in Adelaide, Australia, Nyree. You probably know Nyree from Stephen and Walter Live because she's a regular on there. It's a little difficult for her to get onto the full live because they're a day ahead of us when we do it, and it's very early in the morning when we're doing it here for them. But Nyree knew it was my birthday on the weekend, and also Walter's and my wedding anniversary, and so she made these two very beautiful cards. This one looks like a quilting pattern, and the other one is the Tim Holtz Crazy Birds and whatnot, and it's textured. It's if you could feel it, you'd feel these hearts are all raised and that. It's beautiful. They're both absolutely beautiful cards. I cannot make cards like this. I just can't. Nyree does a lot of really beautiful stuff, and I have shared some of her stuff with you before because she has been a person of interest, actually a couple of times on here, but these are going to go in a place of honor. I have a little shrine-like area. That's kind of creepy. Well, no, it's not really a shrine area, but it's a special area in my craft room where I put on display cards that people have made for me or ATCs or whatever. And I definitely keep these, and we'll keep them for all time because they're too beautiful. And, you know, just a tip, and I'm sure people who make cards know this, you only make cards for people that you know will appreciate the time and the effort and the thought and the creativity that's gone into them. You never give one of these cards to somebody who will look at it, open up, isn't that nice, and it's going to find its way into a garbage can. No. I only give people that will do that cards that come from the dollar store. Cards that I make, I give to people I know that appreciate getting something like that and also know how long it took to make it. And why it's so special then, because you took the time to make somebody a card like that. So thank you, Nyree. You've made me feel very special on my birthday. I don't get a lot of birthday cards on my birthday, mainly not because, you know, I'm not saying like, oh my God, to me, I don't get any birthday cards. No, because people send me birthday wishes via Facebook. And that's the modern way to do it now. The card industry is dying, I think. And, you know, that's fine. And it's maybe the environment kind of thing too. But these are very special, and so they're going to go into a very special place. And I want to share that with everybody else on here. I already mentioned the fact that I got a gimbal, and maybe I'll show that once I figure out how to use it. Maybe I'll show that to you on another future vlog. Now, you're going to laugh at this, but I'm going to show you something that I picked up on the weekend. Looks like a wall switch, doesn't it? Now, this may blind you, so I'll just, okay. It's a light. It's actually a light. On the back, there's a couple of magnets. There's a place for a screw. There's a couple of Velcro, adhesive Velcro strips, so you can put it on the wall or where you want to put it. Now you're going to say, well, why did you get a light switch that blinds you when you don't look into it when you turn it on? It's too bright. And at first, when I saw these, I thought they were like $6 a piece. I bought two of them. Kind of thought, yeah, what would I do with these? And then I got thinking about it. I have a couple of areas like under my computer desk where the world's largest octopus of cables is located. Sometimes I have to get on all fours, go under there, and try to figure out what wire is going to walk because, excuse me, because I'm having some kind of problem. And I have to take a flashlight with me because I can't see the wires. And of course, all the wires are black and they're all being plugged into black things. And, you know, I love these manufacturers who, you know, put diagrams, little pictures or words on things where you're supposed to, where you're supposed to plug things in and you can't read them because it's black on black. Like, yeah, really clever. So it's a pain in the butt. But I thought I can just affix this to the underneath part of the counter, and when I need it, when I need to go under there to look at things, I can just turn it on and I'll be able to see, and then turn it off. Runs off of batteries, no problem. So I bought 2 of these, as I said. I've installed one already underneath my computer. It's working brilliantly. And the other place that's dark is in my sewing room. Underneath my work tables, I have drawers, plastic drawers, and the lighting is such in there that you can't see underneath the table. So again, this is going to go up underneath the table. When I need to get into the drawers, I'll just turn it on. I'll be able to see what's in the drawer and turn it off. Simple as that. So I thought this was kind of brilliant. So there you go. And only $6. So can't go wrong. Okay, what else? All right, so big stash of fabric. I went to about 3 different quilting stores while I was up in the Waterloo Kitchener area. Waterloo Kitchener area is about an hour and a half west of us, and it's all part of an area called Cambridge and Guelph. Guelph has a university. I went there for my first degree, so I know the area fairly well. It's also Mennonite Country, so you know there's going to be quilting stores there, and there are. And when my birthday comes around every year, I use it to rationalize why I'm going to suddenly spend a lot of money. I say I'm buying myself my own birthday gift, okay? That's my way to rationalize it. So I'm going to show you just very quickly what I bought. I bought fat quarters. I bought 1/8 of a quarters. I bought, I'm trying to get the whole, I can't get it all in here, but I bought more fat quarters. I bought yardage, which is kind of weird because we buy it by the meter, but we still call it yardage. I bought batiks in yardage. I bought more batiks in a package. These are fat quarters. I bought a kit. Now, this kit, this is where we have the crossover between the quilting world and the crafting world, because Tim Holtz made or designed material some time ago. I don't know if he's still making it or not, but I know that my Ultimate Sewing store that I go to on a regular basis, they have it on the bolts. I have yet to buy any of it there, but when I was into this other quilting store up in the place we were in, they had a quilt that was all on the wall, and there was a kit, and it was Tim Holtz Fabrics, and this is the kit. All the material's been pre-cut. It comes with a free pattern. This is the pattern, but that's not the material. This is the material, okay, that I'll be using in it. And this is the design. And it all comes as a kit. So I thought, yep, I'm going to buy that. Not cheap, but then as kits go, kits, when they come with the fabric, are fairly expensive. This is about $89 for this. Got it upside down. But here we go. I've got another quilt. I've actually got 2 other kits that I've had for several months that I haven't opened yet. So got a lot of projects to work on. But I love fabric. I love the designs. It just takes me right back to when I used to buy scrapbooking paper. And I was just a scrap paper whore. I can tell you that. I was just all over it. No problem. Now I feel the same way about fabric. So cost-wise, what did I spend on fabric? Oh, about $500. Yeah, it doesn't take long, especially when you're buying batiks. Batiks tend to be expensive. Like, I think I paid anywhere between $16 to $20 a meter for batik fabric, but I love batiks. But everybody loves batiks. So, yeah. Now, later today, I have to organize all of this, and I want to match these up with some patterns and things. So, and put them in boxes, you know, those clear plastic boxes as projects, label them, and then there they are. And, you know, I could probably work on a couple at the same time. Who knows? Whatever grabs me. We'll see how that works out. Well, Walter also got me, along with my Gimbal, he bought me a couple of quilting magazines, and I've already gone through these, and I've earmarked the pages that have some interesting block designs that I want to try. And I think what I'm going to do is, before I actually commit to a full project on something, I'm going to look at the blocks, and I'll make a sample block to see how it works out, you know, to see how to make it for one thing and what it looks like. And if I like it and it works out okay, then I'll make the entire quilt that way. At least that's my theory. We'll give it a try. Okay, so what else? Okay, book review this week. This one is called Interactive Art Workshop, and basically, and it's by Nyree Nugent. The link is below, and I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Or maybe I'm not. Oh, I am. Okay, sorry about that. This book shows you how to make pages that are interactive. Pop-ups, sliders, things like that. It's not just for scrapbooks or journals. You could do this with cards, these techniques. But I thought, you know, this is one I need to go back and revisit because I have not used this very much, and I don't even know how long I've had this. So another one on my project list, let's do some interactive pages. Now, I did do some interactive pages in an art journal. I taught a class on how to do that. I wish I had remembered that I had this book when I did that class, because I think this would have given me some more ideas to work with. But future classes I teach, maybe I'll use some of the ideas from this. Not a cheap book when I bought it, $25.50 Canadian. But in the link below, and I've given you, it's Amazon.ca, and it's being listed there now as $3.70 Canadian. So bargain, okay? So if you're interested in this, this is a cheap book now to get, and I think a very good book. So that's the book review for this week. And let's talk a little bit about inspiration tips. And this, I want to talk about inspiration. I used my quilting materials to create this cover. You could easily take some of your stash, your scrapbooking stash, your scrapbooking papers, and also make a reusable cover from those any way you want. And you know, it's a great way for making a really quick journal, especially if you want to give it as a gift, because what you can do is you can make your cover and make it like, you know, the old book covers we used to get as kids for textbooks in school. It's just a folded over flap, basically. I sewed it. You could sew it. Scrapbooking paper. I have sewn scrapbooking paper with my sewing machine before. You can do that, or hand stitching it, or you can just use glue or whatever, or double-sided tape. But on the inside, just buy one of those cheap little journals that, you know, that you can buy at the dollar store. That kind of thing. Just figure out the dimensions for the cover. Make your own unique cover for it, and you make a journal, and you can give it to a friend, and they will love it. They'll think, you know, that this is something really complicated, and it was really nice of you to create it for them. So an easy thing to do, and you can get as elaborate as you want in journal making. But I was just thinking, you know, what a way to use up scraps from your stash, whether it's fabric, whether it's paper, and away you go. So that's the tip for this week. All right. what's that take me to? Ah, okay, so what's in my drawers this week? This week, I'm featuring ink pads, so you can watch that right now. So what's in my drawers this week? Ink pads, and I have a lot of ink pads. This is just a small sampling of what I have. Do I use them all? Yes and no. It depends on the application, what I want to use them with. So let's start with my most basics, and that of course is the Tim Holtz Distress Inks. I've been using these for years. I actually have the complete set in both the full-size pad, and I have the complete set in the little mini cubes as well. In fact, the little mini cubes I keep with me in my bags that I have set up for my class, for my art journal classes, and that's where they sit permanently. When I'm at home, I use these. When I'm on the road, I use the mini ones. They're just easier to transport. What is it about the Tim Holtz Distress Inks that I like? Well, of course, the colors and all the different things that you can do with them. But these are a dye-based ink, which means they're water-soluble. And when you're doing mixed media, this can cause you a problem. You have to be careful what layer you put distress ink or any water-soluble ink on, because if you put a wet medium on top of them, they are going to reactivate and blur. But there's ways to get around that by sealing them with a workable fixative. And Tim Holtz also has a product called, I believe it's microglaze, and basically you rub it on your finger and rub it over an area where you've used distress ink, and that makes it waterproof. But these are standby. They've been around for years, and they're a tried and true product. And of course, his latest ink pads are the Distress Oxide, which are now my go-to because the colors are very brilliant. But these are kind of a hybrid ink. They're a combination between dye and pigment ink. So what is pigment ink? Pigment ink tends to be more permanent, meaning that when it gets wet, it doesn't necessarily reactivate. I say not necessarily because certain brands aren't as waterproof as other brands. Distress Oxide inks, though, do react to water, but they react very differently than the Distress inks. And you can get some really neat effects. And the other thing is, unlike the Distress inks, you don't end up with mud when you try to mix these. You can see the colors through the layers, which is also a really neat effect. So these are kind of my go-to ink pads right now. In fact, I just pre-ordered his next 12 colors. I'm a little obsessed with collecting anything that has Tim Holtz's name on it. Okay, so those are probably the most famous ink pads there are. Another line that Ranger, which also makes these ink pads by the archival inks, and you can see I have quite a few here, but I have quite a few more of these. I do like the archival inks because they're permanent, they're waterproof, and they have a wide range of colors. And really, if I want something that I'm not going to have to, I want to use these when I'm going to put a wet medium down. My tongue is tied today. I will go for these because I like the colors. There's a wide assortment of them, and again, they're waterproof. Now, if you really want to get into an ink that is completely waterproof, that would be StazOn. And StazOn come in full-size pads, and they come in colors now. At one time, StazOn did not come in colors. It only came in black. But now it does come in colors, and it's true to its name. It stays on. This is a solvent ink, and it dries very, very fast, and it's very, very permanent, and you can use it on a variety of surfaces. Whereas these inks, you're pretty much limited to using them on, paper-based items. With StazOn, you can also put these on something like foil or metal or glass. However, the one problem with StazOn inks I have found, they dry up very quickly in their pads. You can get re-inkers for them. You can get re-inkers for all of these, but they are kind of pricey, and they just dry up really quick. Okay, this is a brand that I've had around for years, and it's called a hybrid ink palette. The colors are really nice in it. It's a very nice ink to work with. It's very smooth. It's very juicy, almost creamy. I'm just looking. It says it's fast drying and waterproof, but I find that's not always the case. If you really want to make this truly waterproof, you need to heat set it with your heat gun. So after you've used it, just go over your page or your element with your heat gun, give it a good blast, and that helps to make this more waterproof. I always am a little leery when I find an ink that says it's waterproof, because if it's one I've never used before, I have found that it's not always true that they are completely waterproof. Now, another ink which is really cool is a chalk ink. And these chalk inks come in these cute little cases, and they're by Quilt Quotes. Now, Quilt Quotes is a company that creates scrapbooking kits, and they usually in their kits recommend certain colors in their inks for you to buy to use in the kits. And as you can see, I have quite a few of these. Is at one point I was buying a lot of their kits. In fact, I still have a lot of their kits I have never had out of the bag. That may be stuff I can use on another what's in my drawers. But the colors are really nice in these. They go on very nicely as well. They're fairly juicy, but they are a chalk ink, so you have a totally different texture when you use these. As far as being waterproof, I don't think they are. I could be wrong about that. It doesn't tell me on here. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever used these on a mixed media page. I've used them pretty much with the Quilt Quote kits. But I have quite a few. You can see here, there's another box, another 2 boxes full of these. I have a lot of their colors, and they have a wide range of colors. Another type, which I bought when they came out with these, and I have not used them much, are these extra large ink pads. Now, this is a straight black ink pad, which is great for your larger background stamps. But they also came out a couple of years ago with like Delusions, the mixed media palette. So you have 4 colors. I'm not really sure how to use these beyond using them as separate colors, but the idea is that these colors coordinate. And there's different ones in the sets. This is just one of them. They are on the pricey side. And as you can see, I have not used these very much at all. I also bought the Tim Holtz Distress pad, and the same thing. You have 4 different ink pads here that coordinate with each other in that distress style that Tim Holtz is so famous for. How do I apply the ink? Well, let me just move some of this stuff a little bit out of the shot. I have many of these spinners. I'll try to hold it on the side. Many of these spinners that hold my ink application tool. And I have one of these for every ink color that I have in both the Distress inks and in the Oxide inks. These work the best. They have the foam pad, they're round, easy to control. Before Ranger came out with the round ones, they had a rectangular one, which were fine, except that you tended to get lines when you were using those. This sort of eliminates that problem because it's round. Although you can still get it, there is a technique to getting your ink on smoothly. And I love this little stand that I bought for it. As I said, this is not the only stand I have. I have quite a few of these, and they're tiered, and they hold one ink applicator for every one of my Oxide inks and for every one of my Distress inks. Another thing I tried, but I wasn't really that fond of, were these little pads for dipping right directly into your ink and moving them around. They're kind of like the other ink applicators I've shown you, but what I find with these is I don't seem to have the same control. Although I know a lot of people who love using these and love using the mini daubers as well for what they're doing, and this works well for them. I just don't find them as good. You can also, in a pinch, use a makeup sponge, a cheap makeup sponge from like the dollar store. That'll work as well. So that is just some of the inks that I have. And does somebody need this many inks? No. But why do I have them? You know why I have them. I'm addicted. Okay, So I hope maybe you learned something about ink pads that you didn't already know, or maybe you already knew everything about ink pads and maybe I made some mistakes. Don't do so on purpose. Okay, so events in the past week. Update on my mother. Still in the hospital. Had a meeting with hospital staff. Social worker who led the meeting was trying to push my mother into a retirement residence. A retirement residence, not a nursing home. Retirement residence, you know, I've already looked into them. They're extremely expensive, will not give her the care that she needs. Social worker just wants to kick her out so the bed becomes free. That's her job. The occupational therapists were there. Some other people were there that have been working with my mother. Bottom line is, I said she is not going to a retirement residence for this reason, this reason, this reason. She needs to be in a nursing home where she can get the proper care. My mother was asked what she would prefer, because my mother can make the ultimate decision on it because there's nothing wrong with her brain. And my mother said, well, I'd already discussed all the options with my mother. She says, nope, she felt a nursing home was the best bet. Social worker is not happy with me. Threatened, well, I say threatened, it was a threat. She thought she'd scare me, but I was already prepared for this. That there might be, okay, so she'd have to stay in the hospital. She may be moved to a different floor in the hospital. She may be moved to a different hospital in our area. Fine, not a problem. And that there might be a copay while she's in there, meaning that, you see, in Canada, most of our hospital stuff and everything is covered because we have sort of universal health care. However, they can, if it's being used as a holding ground, they can legally charge us for it, but they can't charge us any more than what the rate would be for a basic room in a nursing home, the monthly rate. And I know exactly what that rate is. And it's already calculated in. I look after my mother's finances, and so not a problem. I'm prepared for that. Now, I haven't heard anything since that meeting from the social worker, but we had that on Thursday. Friday, we went away. The social worker's probably not there on the weekend. So I anticipate there's going to be some contact with me again sometime this week. So be it. But that's where we stand now. Now, we went over to see my mother yesterday when we got home from our little vacation thing, mini trip. And she seemed in very good spirits. I kind of monitor what she eats, and she was, I'm getting a glare on my glasses, sorry. She seemed to be eating a little better. I don't know if it's wishful thinking on my part or what, but so there it was. She was reading while her TV was on the fritz again. I've just been constantly on the phone to this service that runs it. That was that call that got interrupted earlier on the video for that. But I'm glad to see that she's reading, because my mother used to read all the time. And in the last 4 or 5 years, she just hasn't picked up a book at all. And, you know, if you got to be waiting around for things, I find reading is one of the best ways to kill time. Plus, it keeps your mind going, and I want to keep my mother's mind going for this. And, you know, ironically, the reason I became an English teacher, my love of books, came from my mother. So it seems ironic that she stopped reading. But she was reading. So my sister had gotten her some book. I mean, I had already gotten her some magazines and things and that, but that's great. So I'm hoping that my mother's attitude is starting to readjust. It's been difficult, as you know, but I'm looking for the good things now in this, and this is a good thing. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So things are possibly looking up for the future, I hope. Okay, and of course, it was my birthday weekend. I turned 61. Don't look a day over 60. Yeah. Moisturizer, lots of moisturizer. So anyways, and I told you we went to this area up there. It was Mennonite. We went to see the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I had gotten tickets months ago for that, and it was the stage play, not the movie. That was fantastic. We really enjoyed that. Slightly different from the movie version of it, but still just a lot of fun and just really well done. And then we went to a nice restaurant that I hadn't been to in 40 years in the area. It's an old mill. And we had a nice dinner there, although it wasn't maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm not as impressed as I was when I was 21 about things like this. But it was still very, very nice. And, you know, a little dated inside the place. Haha, that's kind of ironic too. It's an old mill. Of course it's going to be dated. It looks like an old mill. But I mean dated in terms of food selection, waiting, the way they waited on you, things like that. But it was still really nice. And best part was I didn't pay for it. Walter did. So bonus, right? So the whole weekend was nice. Like Walter said yesterday, it didn't seem like we'd been away. I mean, it was only 2 nights, not that far away. But we could have been away a little longer. It would have been nice. I have a feeling Walter's probably getting a little itchy about going somewhere. I mean, we were in Australia in February. That's not that long ago. But we love to travel. And, you know, when the weather's nice, you want to go. And, well, we're kind of in a holding pattern on trips right now, mainly because of the situation with my mother. But also there are things that we need to do around the house which are going to cost some major bucks. So, you know, you have to balance these things out. But it was nice to get away for the weekend. So, it isn't the best video, because I kept forgetting to take video when I was into quilting shops and things like that. But this will give you just a little taste of our weekend. So you can watch that now.
Okay, so we are now in a little town called St. Jacobs. And we've been here many times before. It's Mennonite Country. And we just went into a quilt shop that was here. That was an actual Mennonite quilt shop, and I bought some fabric there. They're actually having a closing out sale. There's another one down here somewhere along the street, and we're going to go there, but after we find some place to have lunch. The silos is what this is called. There's a whole bunch of little shops and things in there. We've been in there many times before. So we decided to have lunch here at Jacob's Grill. Walter's trying to figure out what he's going to have. It's a good little place, although we did find the menu somewhat limited for selection. I'm having a stacked Reuben. So
I have the old smoky burger.
The old smoky burger? Right, the old smoky burger.
Either that or the heritage burger.
And what makes it a heritage burger? Grilled tomatoes, caramelized onions, and provolone cheese. This means it's been sitting around for a while. Okay, we're in the surplus store in Cambridge, and you can see they have all kinds of scrapbooking stuff in here. Some of it is a pretty good price, some of it isn't really a good price. Stencils, things like that. And look, they have a Gemini, $249, which is just a die cutting machine, but it's one that comes from Crafter's Companion in England. But that's really not a deal. You have to know your prices. So this is where we're staying this weekend. No thrills, no thrills. It's the student residence during the school year for the college, Conestoga College, but in the summer they open it up as a residence or as a hotel sort of thing. And it's relatively cheap, but you get a full-size fridge, you know, you get a microwave, and there's 2 double beds, and a fairly large television set as well. So, I mean, for just a couple of nights, it's not a bad deal. You got a bathroom too in it, so it's reasonably priced. Like I said, no frills, no thrills. Okay, so it's Saturday, July the 14th, the actual day of my birthday, and we are on the road from where we're staying in Kitchener to Stratford. We're going across country for this. Stratford's where we have the Shakespearean Festival every year. That's what it's famous for, but we're going to see Rocky Horror Picture Show. if we get there. Everything's under bloody construction out here. Every place we went earlier today and yesterday, we had to take 1,000 different detours to get to nowhere. So a little bit frustrating, but in Canada we only have two seasons anyways, winter and construction. For those of you that aren't from Ontario, all of these fields, the green that you see, well, not the green you're seeing right now, but is corn. Over here, that is corn.
So you didn't pick a field that doesn't have corn in it.
Yeah, figures. I'm not sure what this green stuff is. I wonder if that's peas.
It kind of looks like peas.
It could be peas. I don't know. Peas. They're one of my favorite vegetables. I love peas. And then over here we have
mixed stuff.
So, okay, it figures. I pick up the camera to show you all the corn, and now we've missed all the corn. But there was a lot of corn, trust me. It's very green out here, isn't it? Yes, that won't last long. Okay, so now we're in the central part of Stratford, heading our way to the theatre for the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And just give you a 360 view. This is not quite the main downtown street. We're just off of it slightly. There's Walter, scary. Frankenfurter, yes. And so on to... Okay, so you can see here at the Rocky Horror Picture Show, a few people have dressed up. This is the intermission. Hard to get them in, they're in the behind the crowd there. And I never took a picture of the outside of the place we're staying at, so you can see that it's pretty much just a college residence. Off season, it's a hotel. No frills, no thrills, but it's fine.
Actually, it's pretty good, actually. You get a full-size fridge, so...
Yeah. Well, I took pictures of the inside of it, too, earlier, but I thought I never took any from this point of view. And there goes Walter.
Okay, so now that I've got the gimbal, if I do road trips or stuff like that, if I take that along with me, there'll be less movement and bouncy all over it. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, so what's coming up? Gang dinner. I call it the gang dinner. There's a bunch of people through teaching that I've known for years, their spouses and whatnot, and there's 7 of us, and we get together at somebody's place for dinner, you know, throughout the year. Actually, as things do happen in people's lives, we have not been together for a gang dinner in a year. The last one happened to be here, and it was my 60th birthday. I threw my own birthday party, and so they were all here for that. So we're going to other people's place on Friday night for dinner, and I always like to make them a little gift kind of a thing. So if you go on to Stephen and Walter Live, you'll actually get to see the little gift that I'm giving all of them, which I've actually had sitting here for a year, ready to go, because we were supposed to go to some other people's place in the fall out of this gang for dinner, but they were having some work done on their house inside. They were having all their floors ripped up and replaced, kind of a deal, and they figured it would be done by the time they were going to have that dinner, and it wasn't. So we never got together. Of course, being the kind of person I am and knowing these people so well, I will be making comments about, well, really, you probably owe us 2 dinners now, don't you? Because, you know, you use the excuse of your floors. I do this in good fun, okay? And they know that as well. They're good friends. So anyways, we're looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. That's on Friday night. And nothing else coming up, actually. So that's about it. So just before I sign off on this, just a final note, and you're going to hate me for this. I'm fine. I can live with that. You're going to hate me because I gave my mother an ultimatum. Just before that meeting took place that I've already mentioned, my mother has a very different view of reality. She wants to have 5-star accommodation where she'll be waited on hand and foot. Things will be served to her on silver trays, that kind of stuff, okay? So she had a reality check. Well, I had to give her a reality check. I said to her, Mom, we've come down now to 2 things that are going to happen here. Retirement residence nursing home. You can't go into a retirement residence because you won't get the care that you need. And I said, I'm going to be bringing this all up at this meeting with this hospital staff because they want to kick you out of the hospital and make you somebody else's problem, you know, at any cost. I'm not going to let that happen. But you have to choose, because it's going to be you who they're going to ask, because I can only make suggestions, very firm suggestions, but I can only make suggestions because you have been deemed mentally capable of making your own decisions, and she is. My mother wasn't happy with me because I made an ultimatum, and here's the ultimatum, and this is where you're going to hate me. I basically told my mother this: if you decide you want to go into retirement residence, I can make your finances work for a few years to cover that at $5,000 a month plus. Okay, $60,000 a year. She doesn't have that much money. Okay. But here's what's going to happen, Mom. You're going to get into this place, and they're beautiful, but someone's going to have to take you down for every one of your meals from your room. They're only going to come in, and this is all a la carte. You pay extra above that amount of money I just mentioned for these kind of services. They'll come in once a week and help you bathe. What that means is they'll basically help you get into the bathroom and shut the door behind you, and you're on your own, and when you want to come out, they will open the door up and help you back out. Simple as that. They are not going to help you go to the bathroom. They are not going to help you get dressed. They're not going to do anything else. They will do your laundry for you, but that's an additional fee. They will not bring you food to the room. They don't do room service. They'll expect you to get down. They will help you to your meals all the time. Knowing you, Mom, you're going to sit there. You're not going to go down and eat. You're going to expect me and my sister to get you whatever you need, the same as what we were doing in the apartment. Can't do it? Not going to do it. Mom, you're on your own. If you choose this environment against my advice, after everything I've told you about why this environment will be not right for you, then you have decided that you're going to make all arrangements. They're going to say to you, well, you could use some extra PSW help, which they get from the community care. But it's not easy to get it, and they don't give you very many hours of that in a week. I said, but I will give you the number of the lady you need to call to make those arrangements, but I'm not going to make the arrangements. So basically what I'm saying to my mother is, if that's the way what you've decided, that means that you are capable of looking after yourself. So you go ahead and you do whatever you need to do to get what you want, but I won't be there to do it. I won't be running over here to the new place every day. I'll give you a call, you know, every other day, something like that. I'll come over and visit you maybe once a week, but I'm not going to do anything more special. I'm at my end. Okay, hate me for this, people. But this is what it's come down to. I said, on the other hand, Mom, if you say you want to go into a nursing home, then for the time that it takes to get you into the nursing home place, I will continue to do what I've already done and whatnot, make arrangements for things, stuff like that. But that's it. Basically what I was doing is trying to force reality on her. She wasn't happy with me about this. And in fact, just before we went into the meeting, she kind of snapped at me, kind of spoke to me like I was 6 years old again. That made me, I was already very emotionally up here just before the meeting, and I snapped a little bit, and I snapped back, and I basically told her, Mother, I'm 61, I'm not 6. You have no authority over me anymore. I'm looking after you. You know what I have told you. I'm sticking to my guns. I said in that meeting, there's going to be stuff that I'm going to bring up that we have discussed, but you might not want me to bring up at that meeting, but I will need to bring it up in order to get what I feel is the best care for you. I'm your advocate. If you say anything in that meeting that undercuts that role, then fine. Same thing goes. It says to me that you are in control, and that's fine, but you make all the decisions. I'm not making them anymore, and I'm not doing anything to carry What you want, out. You make the arrangements for that. Hard-hearted or hard love? I don't know. I feel that I'm doing the right thing for her. You don't know her. You've never met her. You don't know. So this is going to sound really cruel. I know. But I've had to do it. And like I said earlier, I think things are working out okay right now because of this. But I know it's pissing off my mother. What more can I say about that? That's just the way it is, okay? I'm an adult. I'm a senior citizen myself. I gotta look after myself too, because I'm no good to anybody else if I'm not well. Okay, so anyways, enough said about that. And that brings us to the end of this week's vlog. And yep, there may be some idiot quilter ones coming up this week, maybe some others, I don't know. Too many things to do, so little time to do it. It's fun. I'm not complaining about that. I would rather be too busy than bored. Simple as that. So I hope your week is exciting. I hope you're not bored. And yeah, have a good one. We'll see you on Stephen and Walter Live on Sunday. And for sure, we'll see you on next Monday's vlog. Bye for now.